Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Srikar Achanda. I'm one of the co-organizer of AWS User Group
Hello
Vizag.
everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Srikar Achanda. I'm one of the co-organizer of AWS User Group.
So I have my co-organizer Fani Kumar also in this webinar today, and we have our speaker Piyush, who is going to be taking this session today on the topic getting started with AWS and how to get certified in AWS. Thank you so much, Piyush, for joining with us and spending your giving your valuable information. And I'm hoping that our users will benefit out of this webinar. So let's just take 2 minutes. Just wait for 1 minute before we start off. Let's see if people are joining in. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure, Shekhar. Thank you for having me. Looks like Shekhar you're on.
Shrikar, you are on mute.
So okay, so let's we waited for some time, so let's get ahead. So thank you, Piyush. So Piyush is a solution architect, and he's currently working with Deloitte, and he's also an AWS APN ambassador. You would see Piyush as a regular speaker in our AWS user group events, and he's also a very consistent and interesting contributor to the AWS community. He writes blogs, he does videos, and and he posts continuously on about AWS on his LinkedIn as well. And he's also part of the Reskill Experts team, and he's contributing his free time to the community in whatever way is possible. Thank you so much, Piyush. And with that, Piyush, please take over.
Yeah, thank you, Shekhar. Thank you for the quick and crisp introduction. Hey guys, hi everyone, good evening. As Shekhar mentioned, my name is Piyush and I will not repeat my introduction again and will quickly get started on today's topic. So, as you know that today's topic is on AWS, like getting started with AWS Cloud and how to earn your first certificate in the AWS Cloud. So AWS Cloud is a one of the leading cloud service provider in the market, not now, but from last couple of years. And it provides all the required services in terms of managed services and integration services you can avail for your application use case. So I will be taking you through a brief about what all services it provide in different fields and with the different use cases, and then We will also see a bit demo about how quickly and how easy to get started with AWS Cloud. So if you guys can see my screen, uh, so AWS have a lot of services which are divided into the different categories. So let's talk about most featured services initially. So the most featured services consist of the 9 services right now, and which are AWS EC2, DynamoDB, VPC, AWS S3, Amazon RDS, Lightshell, Aurora, Lambda, and SageMaker. So these are very basic services. If you talk about a very basic application which is hosting like one web server or having one database, and then it has an integration with the database, and then you are making your application live, then you probably need a virtual machine to host your code, and you need a database server to host your database and store your database. So these are the basic services, and we will quickly see that how easy and how quickly we can create one virtual machine on the uh, AWS cloud very soon. Moving forward, if you talk about analytics, if your application has some use cases related to the analytics, then you can find a lot of managed services on the AWS, including Athena, EMR, which are very popular services. You can also found some of the replaceable services of open source technologies as well. And so this is a Redshift, QuickSight, Glue, Data Pipeline. These are heavily used services in the field of analytics, and it depends upon use case to use case what all services you want to use. Moving forward, we have application integration. So for application integration, we have different type of workflow, app flow, message queues, apps and services, or notification or simple queue services, etc. So these are like good to go services in a very minimal step. You can set up all this for your application, and just you need the endpoint and the credential to connect in your configuration file. Then we have uh, blockchain and also the AWS cost management services. You can when we talk about the cloud, right? The cost is one of the major things we have to think about. So AWS already provide a lot of managed services to look after of your cost. They will provide you a lot of suggestions, lot of advice that how you can save your cost on the AWS cloud. And so moving forward, we'll talk about a few of the compute services, basically, which are like EC2, batch services, Outpost, Wavelength, Porter Scaling, Lambda, and many others. So, so these are the few of the compute services. And if you are a DevOps guy, and if you aware about the industry standards and the new technology, you are very much aware of the containers as well. And so AWS also provide the different containers managed services as well, like Elastic Container Registry, and they have ECS, they have EKS, and there are few services that are coming this year as well, like ECS Anywhere and EKS Anywhere. Okay. And similarly, if we talk about database, there are all type of database depending upon your application use case. If you are using MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, Postgre, NoSQL, real-time database, anything, right? Cache database, and even the serverless database. So AWS has all the varieties of database in terms of managed services, right? You can directly go and we can directly go and choose the respective database. Okay, and in terms of developer tools, it is again important. If you are a developer, then you should know like whatever the day-to-day tools, day-to-day tasks tools you are using right now. Suppose you are using Git, suppose you are using any pipeline to build your code, right? So everything is present here also. Even they provide the even they provide the runtime and the IDE also, and they also provide the different SDK and CDK also in the AWS, and it's very simple to use and very easy to integrate with your running pipelines as well. Okay, so moreover, there are machine learning services, there are AI services, and there are a lot of advanced services as well, which can directly be used in your application. So this is the basic about all the different type of categories which they provide, right? And now we will talk about how it is easy to go to AWS console and create an EC2 instance. So if you can see my screen, this is my AWS console. So we will quickly search for EC2 here. Okay, and let's go to EC2. So EC2 is nothing but just a virtual machine, right? Just to hosting your application, hosting your code. So we are here on the EC2 management console now, and it's loading. Just give me a second. Yeah. So let's click on the launch instance. If you can see here in the highlighted part, and let's click on the launch instance. Okay. So once we click on the launch instances, it will take us to all the required steps to launch an instance. Yeah. So initially, it is asking us to choose a Amazon machine image. So Amazon machine image is nothing but in if you can understand it as an operating system. So what operating system you want for your virtual machine? So I'm choosing the Amazon Linux 2 right now. So once you choose the image, it will ask us what type of instance you want to choose. So what do you mean by instance type? So instance type include the type of the type of CPU you have, the memory you want in your machine, what type of storage you want, okay, what type of network performance you want, what type of network support you want. Okay, so I'm choosing for this demo T2 Micro, which have one vCPU, 1 gigs of memory, and it support the EBS volume, and it also support the IPv6 support. Okay, next we can click on the configure instance detail. So in the step number 3, it is asking us the different details. I will quickly go through these details. What are they? So the first thing is the number of instances. You can launch as many as if you want. You can change the number from here. Okay. And then you have the network. You can choose your network option here. This is the default VPC right now I'm using. And also in the default VPC, I have these much of subnets. So I can choose anyone depending upon my application use case. Okay, then I can assign the public IP as well. I can have the placement group in place. I can have the IAM role in place. So these are all the options we can configure. Even we can write some of the user data script as well. If we want, some action during the boot up time in our instance, then what we can do is we can write our user data script here as well, and we can do some of the task to be performed at the time of boot up of the instance, right? So we will leave all these as a default and we will move next. So in the fourth stage, it is asking us for the storage. So by default, it is showing me the 8 gigs of EBS volume here. I can modify it to whatever the requirement I have, and then I can also add the additional volume if required for this particular instance, right? Next. So after storage, it will ask us for the different tags. Tags are very important for all of your resources in the AWS. So make sure that whenever you are clicking or whenever you are creating any of the resources in the AWS, if there is an option of tags, then please do provide the tags. It will help you to track your resources very well. Okay. Next, we have security group configuration. So security group is nothing but you can say you can understand it as a firewall. So it will prevent what type of code and protocol can be a user can access from that particular instance, or how the user can reach to that particular instances with help of different ports. So if you can see here already SSH port is there. So there are different type of ports and protocol present here in the list. And if it is not, so whatever the protocol or port you require is not listed, what you can choose is you can choose for the custom TCP or UDP role, and then what you can do, you can mention your particular protocol, right? And you can change the port number, and also in terms of source, so you can change it to the your particular IP, or you can, custom, you can put any custom IP here depending upon the use case of your application, right? So what I will do is I will restrict this SSH so that I only can SSH from uh, my system right now. So I will do my IP, and it will automatically load my IP here. So this is my public IP right now. Okay. So now next we will click on the review and launch. So here on this particular step number 7, it will show us every detail whatever we have choose. Just to verify once again before we click on the launch, right? So this is the AMI detail, instance type, security group, other instances detail, okay? And if you go down, storage details, and these are the tags, right? Whatever we have used. Now we will click on the launch. So while launching, right, it will ask us the key pair to be created. So what is key pair? Key pair you can understand as a login method. Once the instance is ready, how you will log in into the instance, you need some of the credential, right? So key pair is a way to log in into your instance. So what I will do is create a new pair, and I will create a new key pair here, right? And I will download my key pair, and I will click on the launch instance, right? So the instance is launching right now with whatever the configuration we have provided. So we can click on view instances here. Okay, and here you can see that we provided the name demo Vizag now, and this is our instance. It is right now in pending state. You can see here, and in some time it will come up in a running state, and then we can start using this particular instance. In the meantime, I'll show you what are all details. Once we have created the instances, there are a lot of detail we can directly access from the AWS console. So for this particular instance, if you want to see the details, you can see here in the details column what type of operating system it used, and what are the different uh, IPv4, IPv6 DNS, whatever you have assigned for your particular instance, you can see from here. Also, in the security tab, you can go, you can modify the security group as well. We can see all the inbound and outbound rules here, right? And networking, in the networking section, we can see all the IPs associated with this particular instance. Even we can also see the VPC ID. We can also see the subnet, reason, availability zone, etc. Right? And next we can see the storage. We can see the all the status check. So it is right now going to the two different status check. One is system status check, and another is the instance status check. Right? So once all two will be passed, we will get here in the status check 2x2 check, right? And then we have monitoring as well. So we have a different matrices by default provided by AWS for monitoring this particular instance. We can also add the custom matrix if we want, right? And then we can see the all the tags, and we can also modify or add more text to our application instance here, right? And if you go on the top, what you can all see is you can see in the instance state, there are different type of states, like we can stop the instance, we can reboot it, we can terminate the instance, right? And in the actions, if you go with the actions, you can change the different thing, like you can modify the user data, which we talk about, and you can also change the termination protection. You can also change the instance type. You can also attach this particular instance to the auto scaling group. So all the settings are available over on the console, and it's very handy and easy to do all these particular configuration as per the requirement of the application, right? And you can in the networking, similarly, you can do the network interface. You can de-attach network interface. You can also associate and de-associate the public IPs, right? In the security tab, you can modify the IAM role. If you want to add some role, you want to remove some role, you can do it, right? And for the security groups also, you can change the security group. You can add more rules. You can restrict your access for this particular instance. Also, you can create an image out of this particular instance. So suppose what does the image means here. So once you have the instance ready, right, you will install some of the prerequisites here on the top of this particular instance and make the environment so that your application run on this particular server. Now you want more server like this, and you don't want to install the prerequisites again and again, right? This is a repetitive task. So what you can do is you can prepare one of your server, you can install whatever your application requirements are, and then you can take an image out of it. And the next time when you are launching the instance, you can use that particular image we have created, right? Instead of the image which is default by default provided, right? So in our demo, we have used Amazon Linux, if you remember, in the first step, right? So that is where we are choosing the image. So you can go ahead and create the image, and at the time of launching new instances, you can launch with that particular image, right? So that is what image means here. And then you have the monitoring and troubleshooting. So this is also very good section provided by AWS for the EC2. So we can see here the different type of system logs. We can also have the instance screenshot, like how the instance is looking right now. Okay, and we also can replace the root volumes. We can also manage directly the monitoring matrices here and different alarms for uh, our instances, right? So these are basic actions we can take for this particular instance. So in this demo, you have seen that how easy to get start with the AWS, right? It's not very tough, and it's very easy to get hands on with that. Just you have to follow the steps, and you know the terms, like what configuration you have to do in which of the step, right? And if you want to launch, you can launch more instances directly from here. And in the left hand side, if you can see, so these are all the EC2 related options. You can see instance type, launch template, saving plans, reserve instances, right? You can see your private images or public images here in the AMI section. You can see all your volumes to be you are using right here in the Elastic Block Store. And in the network and security, you can see about security group, Elastic IPs, all the key pairs you have for this particular account. And also you have below last two section is for load balancing and auto scaling. So this is, I would say, the advanced computing, where for your application you want load balancer to be in place, you want auto scaling to be in place, right? So that is something you can also think about when we talk about the auto scaling and the load balancing. That is depending upon the application requirement. It's not something that everybody want to use, but these are the advanced and additional features which AWS provide for the EC2s, right? So this is particular EC2 instance, and this is ready to use now. So this is a simple demo, and now what I will do is, now I'll show you how quickly it will stop the instance. So when we click on the stop instance and we just confirm, and it will say, hey, this is you can see the instance state is stopping, right? So this is how it gets stopped easily, right? Yeah, so this is all about how to get started with AWS. So only one suggestion here: if you are new to the cloud and you are looking for your journey ahead in the cloud, then what you can do is you can just go ahead and create one AWS account, provide your debit card or credit card details, whatever it is, and look for the free tier services. So AWS provide a lot of free tier services, right? And gets your hands dirty, right? For with the hands-on experience. Go ahead, create virtual machine, delete virtual machine. Go ahead, create database, delete database. Use different type of services. Try different type of integration. There are a lot of tutorial, provided by AWS itself. So if you can see. my browser right now. So if you go to docs.aws.amazon.com, you can find all the documentation over here. So you can find the documentation related to each of the services and in the different categories, as I mentioned, like in compute, containers, storage, database, depending. So it's very easy to track down whatever you are searching for, right? So you can go ahead and read about different services over here. You can also uh, read about all the tutorial and different type of projects available by AWS directly. So see here you can see launch a Linux virtual machine, which we have recently done, right? You can learn how to launch a Windows machine. You can run your Hello World program on the serverless with AWS Lambda API Gateway, etc. Right? So I would suggest you guys, if you are new, just go through this and get your hands dirty, right? Just go and sign in. Click on the sign into the console, register your payment method, and then just go and get started. And you can search for all the free tier services here and can get started with the AWS free tier services, right? With that, we will move to our next section, which is AWS certification, right? So once you get started with the AWS, once you started hands-on with the AWS, then you will get thinking of, hey, there are a lot of certifications available in the market for the AWS. Should I go for AWS certification or not? If I have to go through, then what type of certification I should go for my particular role. So we will see all that questions and all your thoughts here, like how to get started with AWS certification, how you can prepare for it, and how to get certified, right? So moving on, I will take you through a bit introduction of the AWS certification. Then we will talk about how we can prepare of the AWS certification exam. Then also we will talk about some of the pro tips. And okay, so moving forward, what do you think? How certification is helpful? So it is not only for AWS certification; it is for any technology, right? When you think about certification, certification provide you recognitions. Certificate will give you the credibility of in that particular technology, right? It will give you the confidence on which you are working on day to day, and it will increase your performance, right? Within the team and within the organization and overall, right? So uh, let's talk with an example. Suppose you are working as a DevOps engineer right now in your organization, where you are looking for day-to-day pipelines, day-to-day deployments patterns, and different issues with related to application monitoring and application downtime, everything you are looking at, right? So now you are working with AWS. Say from last 1 year, you are working with all the AWS services. So now, when it comes to the credibility, when it comes to the confidence, how you will show that, hey, I'm working with these many technologies, and how can I say that I am a DevOps professional now in AWS? How you will say that? Okay, so for that particular evaluation, right, for that particular recognition, and AWS provide different type of certification. So as I talk about like which certification I have to choose, right? That basically depend upon your path, what path you are on, and what path you want to be, right, in future. So that really depend upon your individual path. So these are few of the points why you need the certifications for AWS, right? Moving forward, what you need to know for the certifications, right? So you just need to know that the certifications are available for all the level of experience. It is not like that after a certain experience you only can do all the certifications, right? It is available for all the levels. There is no prerequisites. You can take your exam whenever you feel that you are ready, right? And the exams are timed. What does it mean? That it will be having a certain time limit, like it may be 120-minute exam, 180 minutes, or so on, right? So there will be exam are timed and they are proctored, right? You will be watched, at the time of taking the exam, right? And initially, when the COVID was not there, right, the pandemic was not there, we have to go to the testing centers and we have to schedule an exam, and then we have to prepare for it, and we have to go for it, right? But right now, due to this pandemic situation, the AWS allow us to sit at home and give our exam as well. So there are both options available right now, and there are a lot of training and the resources are available for different type of certifications, but they are not required. They are not mandatory. If you want, you can take, right? Next, we will talk about all the available exams, right? So this is a very important slide, and this is something that people need to understand. There are a lot of queries I individually got from different people, right? That hey, first I need to do the cloud practitioner, then I have to go to associate, and then I have to move the professional. It works in that particular way. So the answer is no. Uh, Whatever the level, right? So it is not required that you have to do all the from the very start from the practitioner and then go to associate and then professional, but that is a very recommended way. So if you talk about myself, I can share my experience in that. So I have started with the foundational one, then I go to the associate, as as I move to the more deep to the AWS technologies, and then I have done my professional, and now I am working with the specialty ones, right? So it is not required, it is not mandatory, depending upon people to people, person to person, you can say. And also, this is a recommended way, right? So somebody who so what is basically these different type of certification is, they are depending upon the level of knowledge and also the level of work experience you have done. So the person, suppose you guys are new to AWS, right, and you are just started with AWS, you created your account, you started reading white papers and reading more about AWS cloud, then you should firstly go through the fundamental, which is cloud practitioner exam. So it is a very fundamental exam. You will come to know that hey, uh, how to give an exam. You will get that particular experience as well with the cloud practitioner. That hey, what AWS is expecting from me, right, in the foundational exam. What type of questions are? How I can prepare for it. How should I going forward, how deep I should go into the different services, right? And then once you are done with your foundational one, you will get some confidence, right? Hey, I can sit in the exam, and I know AWS now. And then you can prepare for associates, and there are three different associate available, depending upon the path, right? If you are on the developer track, you can go ahead and choose for the developer. If you are an operational guy, okay, for your organization, you can choose the sysops administrator. And if you are working as an architect and you look yourself as an architect in future, right, you can choose the architect stream as well. And corresponding, you have the professional certifications as well for each of the stream. And then depending upon the specialty, right, you want to achieve in your career, like somebody wants to be a networking expert, somebody wants to be a security expert. Depending upon that, you can go ahead and choose the exam, right? So basically they are divided into different categories depending upon the difficulty level as well, because so as you go from foundation to professional, you will find it more difficult scenario based questions here. And also the time will also increase, the number of questions will also increase, and the passing marks will also increase, right? So make sure that you are aware of that while choosing any of the exam. Okay. And so once you set your mind, right, that okay, which exam I have to sit for, then you need to think, how should I go, how should my journey look like for the AWS certification, right? So the very first step is review the exam guide. So AWS provide an exam guide for each and every of the exam. So I will talk about that in a minute for cloud practitioner in next slides. So first thing is to review your exam guide. So exam guide will show you all the details about the exam, related to exam, what the topic will be covered, what are the weightages of different topic, and what are the criteria you have to think of, or you have to take care of, right? Everything it will talk about. Then you can take the AWS training. It is not mandatory, it is recommended, right? You can take the AWS training as well for the different certifications. And then the another mandatory one is hands-on practical experience. So this is mandatory step number 3. Okay, as I said, go ahead and create your account and get your hands dirty, right? And fourth is the review sample question. So for each of the exam, AWS provide a few set of questions. You can say 10 or 12 or 15 questions. You can review those exam, review those sample questions, and you will get to know that what type of questions are there in this particular exam, and how should I look. You can try to solve them before appearing to the actual exam, and you can mark yourself that where you stand, right? And as a next step, you can also read the AWS white papers, and you can also go through the different FAQs, so frequently asked questions for all the different services. So there are a lot of services depending upon. So if you talk about a specialty exam, so let's take an example of security specialist, right? So definitely AWS is going to check you on different AWS provided security services, right? So it is recommended that you read all the security related white papers, and you also go through all the security related services FAQ, right? You can AWS also provide a certification exam readiness course. This is also again not mandatory, but this is recommended if you are new to the AWS, right? And also they provide a practice test, which is I think consists of the same environment which is you are going to appear for the actual exam. So you will come to know about how the exam will be on your laptop, right? So that is another good thing, and this is also recommended. This is again not a mandatory one that you should go for the practice exam always, but it is a recommended one. It will give you a thought, right? That how my exam will be look like on the exam day, and then you can schedule your exam. Once you have done all these steps, you can schedule your exam, and definitely you will get your AWS certification, right? So for the preparation, you can follow the links. This slide we will share you with the guys. But if you want to note down, you can note down that you can go to the aws.amazon.com/certification // certification prep, right? And you can read more about it. So as I was talking about reviewing the exam guide as a step number 1, right? So this is a exam guide for the cloud practitioner exam. So if you can see here, what it is saying us, like they are initially they are saying that on what they will validate the exam, right? So explain and value the AWS cloud, understand and explain the AWS share responsibility model, AWS cloud security best practices, AWS cloud cost economics, and billing practices, right? So all these are the validation points. So the questions will be related to these particular topics, right? Then, then if you see it, it will tell you that what type of questions you will get. So you will get two different type of questions here. One is having the multiple choice, and another is the multiple response, right? And again, it will show you the exam is about the exam results. It's a pass and fail exam, so they will not disclose any score at that point of time, right? And then in the exam guide, moving further, we as we talk about, we have the different domain and percentage of the percentage of the examinations, right? Like cloud concept, you will get 26% of the question related to the cloud concepts, right? So it will become easy for anybody who is preparing for the exam. You may be weak in some of the domains. So say a person is weak in billing and practice prices, right? So he or she can think of, hey, uh, I am 84% ready for the exam, but out of 16, I'm not confident. And that is where I have to work on, right? So this is how you can strategically prepare for your examination with help of this particular exam guide, right? Moving forward, we can talk about ramp up guides. So there are different tools and the different resources provided by the AWS. There are ramp up guide, there are exam preparation courses, there are learning paths, and there are different guides, there are different white papers, classroom trainings, virtual training, webinars, and everything is hosted by AWS timely. So the thing is, you should look for different thing. Maybe somebody is good at reading the guides, but another can be better understand with a video or with an audio podcast, right? So depending upon the nature of learning path you want to follow, there are lots of audios, videos, files, guides, everything is present um, online. You can go through it, right? Next, we have the pro preparation tips, right? So these are pro tips if anybody is planning for any of the certifications. So first of all, I will tell you about mine. So that first one, commit to preparation, right? This is very important actually. In our day-to-day life, we are so busy that we usually, don't follow the particular schedule, or we forget about, we just think that hey, I need to do some certification, but there is no plan and nothing like that. So what we we have to do usually is let's schedule the exam. Let's say with a date of upcoming 2 months or 3 months, whatever, depending upon your preparation till now. And then prioritize your time for preparing each day, because once you have scheduled your exam, you will know that you have to be prepared for it, and you have to give your best on that day. And also the hands of experience is very important. People think about exam, like one myth is we can read the documents, we can read the guides, or we can get some dummy questions and we can pass the exam, but that is not true actually. For AWS exams you need to be hands-on. So go do hands-on labs, and use the AWS free tier, all the services under the free tier, right? You can take some of the practice exam as we talk about, and you can measure your progress, that where you stand before the exam, right? And schedule your exam, and then build the support, right? Create a network. What do you mean by creating a network? So it can be your family or friends, or even on social media. You can connect with the different people who are already certified. Take some of the tips from there. It always helps. This is my personal suggestion. It always helps. And you can always ping me as well in the on the different social media, right? I'm happy to help you guys. So, moving further, there are a few more tips. It's the online proctor exam. So, if you are taking it at your home, make sure that you are at a quiet place, and also run the system check before the day of the exam, right? And if you need any accommodation, request for those accommodations before time. And also choose your language. It may be English or some other language. Choose your language accordingly in whatever you are comfortable for giving that particular exam. While you are giving the exam, there is a concept of, or there's a feature of flag, mark flag on your question. So if you are not sure about the exams answers of that particular question in the exam, what you can choose is you can mark a flag, and first you can complete all the particular questions which you are sure about it, and then if you have time, you can return back and you can choose your best guess to the flagged questions, right? And also please read carefully and understand what the exam is asking. So questions are very scenario based questions. They are very deep in technology. They will not difficult in terms of different services, or the services, but they will ask you, they will give you a scenario, they will make you understand the different logics over there, right? So these are some of the pro tips. Go and schedule your exam. And what is the next step? So the next step will be getting your certification. So I will be more than happy to see people getting certified. So if you are really thinking of getting certifications in AWS Cloud and you are serious about it, please go ahead and schedule your exam, right? Uh, so now I think we are open for the questions. Shrikar,
Thank you
over to
so
you.
much, Piyush, uh, for giving your pro tips and very patiently explaining each and every item. I appreciate it, and I'm sure that most of our users are uh, like have got some idea about what is AWS, how is it going to be, uh, how the career is going to be as a cloud engineer or in the cloud world, how AWS is running right now. Thank you so much for those insightful information. So
Thank you.
let's have some questions. Yeah, so we have Bharat Prakash asking any best tips for AWS DevOps professional certification.
Yeah. So, hey Bharat, I have recently passed this particular exam, and with my experience, I can say that this is the toughest exam I find, whatever I have appeared for till now. And why I'm saying the toughest? Because it covers a lot of logical questions and also the scenario-based questions, right? So, suppose for an example, you will get different pipelines in the exam in the scenario, and you will ask that, hey, the build is unsuccessful, can you please check where's the problem. So you have to do some reverse engineering over there. You have to go back and you have to see where's the configuration wrong. And so very deep, and very deep knowledge you require at that point of time for all the different services. And for example, for AWS code deploy or build and code commit, right? So there is no particular pro tip, I would say, but the only thing is getting hands on. So as much as you will use these particular services, build your pipeline, and you go through more about these services, and you will it will become easy for you to understand the question, and and you will give this particular exam in one shot. And also I will recommend you for the FAQs of different services. I saw that sometimes there are direct questions as well in the exam from the FAQs, depending upon the nature of the exam. So yeah, these are the two pro tips I would say, like go more hands-on and read FAQs of the different AWS services for which falls under the DevOps professional exam.
Thank you, Piyush. Bharat, I think that might have answered your question. Thank you for asking. So we have another question. It's a little bit confusing, but I'll just read that out. It's from
Yep.
Venkat Subhash. So Venkat Subhash is asking that he is a civil engineer. Can AWS certification help him get a job as a developer? Any suggestions are welcome. So Subhash,
Uh,
one small clarification we needed. So you want to go as a developer. So, what kind of a developer is it? Anything based on technology like Java, .NET, or something? If that's the case, then AWS certification might not be of much use for you. So, please be clear if possible, so that we can answer that question. But yeah, Piyush, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so I will take this question as like a fresher is asking about, getting into the cloud technologies. I will take this question like that. So yeah, it is. If you are a fresher, or if you are, from other stream, it doesn't matter, right? You can anytime start with the AWS cloud. As I mentioned, right, you need to first learn about some of the cloud computing technology terms, like what is storage, what is compute, what is network in general, and then immediately you can go ahead and create your particular cloud AWS cloud account and get started. It is not as difficult, because as I show in my demo, right, it is straightforward things if you know the things, if you know the concepts, right? So it really doesn't depend upon from which background it is and what type of developer you want to be. And if you want to be a cloud native developer with if you want to be Java, PHP or .NET, any of the developer, you might be using different AWS services for the integration purpose, right, in your code. So it always good to have a knowledge of cloud in that particular case as well if you are not day to day working on the cloud. So my suggestion is, if you are new to the AWS, just read about few cloud concept first, and then immediately start with the AWS, right?
Thank you, Piyush. So, just to add to that, so Venkat Subhash confirmed that he was looking at web development. So, I think you have answered
Yeah,
that. Thank you.
yeah.
So, we have another question from Karthik. So, Karthik is asking about, should I learn any basic computer languages with AWS?
Hey, no. So with the cloud technology, you don't need any specific language to be with you. You can have any knowledge in any one of the language that will help you to understand more on the cloud technologies. It is not required that you need Java or you need Python or you need any other languages, right? It's not a language restriction with the cloud platforms. But it always recommended that if you have basic knowledge of programming languages, how it works, what are the different terms, then it will become very easy for you guys to adopt the AWS cloud or any other cloud as well. So no restriction in terms of language, but it's good to have.
All right, thank you. So, Karthik, we just answered your question. So, I've got a couple of other questions on my personal LinkedIn. I'm just going to read that out. So,
Yep.
one of the user asked that how to eliminate questions during the certifications that seems to have two or more correct answers. Like, for example, one is good for high availability, and other
Mhm.
is good at point of cost optimization. So, how do you decide which answer is correct?
Yeah, so first of all, totally depend upon the question, right? What actually they want to ask us. And whenever there are two different option, or when it comes to the eliminating the options, then it always recommended that go through the questions, highlight in your mind that okay, some terms. So in each of the every question, there are few pointers where they want to trick the answers for that. So if you will look for options, you might find that all the four options are looking good at that particular question, right? So at that point of time, I would say read once more the question and go through each and every option first, and make sure that if suppose uh, one option is 60% right, which is looking 60% right to you, just eliminate that like that. And if it is looking 80% right, if it is looking 50% right, so mark those options in that particular order, and then with the maximum percentage, go with the answer. I personally face this particular situation where I found that all four options can be applicable for that particular solution, but AWS is judging you at that point of time that how accurate you are, how accurate in terms of solutioning you are. You can provide the 50% accurate solution as well, and you can provide the 80% accurate solution as well. So they are just looking for that particular 80% of accurate answer from your side. So I would say, depending upon the nature of question and depending upon the nature of option, just mark them in a different categories and then start eliminating. And elimination of the option is always a good option whenever you are sitting in any of these objective exams.
All right, thank you. So, next question is for developers, which certification is good? Is it a sysops administrator, or solution architect, or developer associate?
So I would say if the person is hardcore developer writing day to day, basis writing a lots of code, so in that case, the person should initially go with the fundamental one, which is cloud practitioner, so that he can learn the terms of AWS, like what all services AWS provide and all the cost and security stuff, and then he can move to the developer associate, where he will be learning in that particular journey that how he can develop code with use of all other managed services, how he can integrate all the services in his code. He can learn about different SDKs, right? So I would suggest the developer associate exam, and then they can further he can take the DevOps professional, which will enhance his skill in terms of not only in the development but also in the deployment and managing his code his own, right? So developer right now is not a developer, right? They are turning into the DevOps guys eventually. They are handling their deployment, they are handling their pipelines, right? So according to me, the path will be the cloud practitioner, then associate cloud uh, developer certified, and then DevOps professional for the developer guys.
Thank you so much, Piyush. So there was another question on network specialty, security specialty exam. I'll try to read it again. So, so for somebody who what could be major area of focus in security specialty exam? Is there only network security or any other areas we should focus for getting?
No, no. So so right now I can tell you about the security exam because I am also preparing for it. So it's not only the network or application; it's overall security. They will talk about uh, each and every concept of the security, how you can, how you can uh, how you can enable the security for your application, for your database, for your storage, for your networks, right? It's not limited to any one of them. It's all around security, right? And it's all about security in the cloud and also security of your applications, right? It's a shared responsibility model, so you need to look around the shared responsibility model of the security, and it's you should look for all round for the security, not limited to any of particular area.
Okay, thank you, Piyush, for those answers. So we are 3 minutes to our completion time. Uh, any other questions? We just wait for 1 minute. So, Sahiti, just to answer your question, in AWS, we don't have any specific certification related to automation testing. We have certifications in databases, network, and compute, but not anything as of now in automation testing. And Piyush, do you think there is any chance that AWS will bring in certifications in those areas, automation testing?
Yeah, definitely. So every year they are improving and they are, introducing some of the new, certification in different areas. So initially there was no certification in machine learning, data analytics, and Alexa, right? But
Right.
going forward we saw that all in place. So I think yes, we can. I
Okay.
wonder if we can see this year or next year. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So one more question came in from Karthik: is being associate better or a developer?
So I don't understand the question. Like, what do you mean by associate or a developer?
I think he mentioned about is I think it's about for certification. Uh,
So yeah, there is associate developer certification as well, and there is associate solution architect as well. So I'm not sure like he want the comparison between those two, or so it depend upon, as I mentioned in my presentation, right? It depend upon the path or the journey you want to follow, right? For you, if you are a developer, you can start with the associate developer one, and if you are not a developer, you look for you to be an architect in future. You just start with solution architect associate, and then go ahead with the professional.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Piyush, for those questions. I think we are already at 1 hour Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for attending. We'll be doing more events in the coming months. As of now, our plan is to have one event per month, and we'll keep updating. So please do follow our AWS User Group Vizag related LinkedIn, Meetup, Twitter handles. We'll be posting that here, and also please do give us your valuable feedback about this webinar. It's a short survey which will take less than 1 minute to complete, so that it will help us in organizing more events in the coming days. Thank you, Piyush, for dedicating your time today, and we appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you, Shrikar. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.